Good evening, and welcome to the Devil's Orchard, where the apples grow. A little rotten on the inside. That's how we like them. This is Penny Dreadful, part 3, the finale of our new... Well, it's no longer new because we're finishing it, I guess. Actual play. When last we saw our friends, you had come together briefly, only to be torn asunder again as someone from Broad Arrow Jack's past resurfaced, attempting to kill him in the middle of the street, but missing and hitting Effie instead, sending Effie tumbling to the ground. Lestrade and Eliza, who were on their way together to see a magician, to find a doctor, actually, in fact, is where you were going, arrived on the scene, and in the ensuing chaos, all sorts of strange things happen. You got strange visions of the world of the dead, of the dead walking next to you, the dead in the horse-drawn carriage that Broad Arrow Jack was driving were standing up and calling to you. It was just a really freaky acid dream kind of thing. In the end, you managed to take care of the miscreant by taking him down. Broad Arrow Jack took the bodies in his horse-drawn carriage and went to find a place to hide and then a place to get some help because he had been shot. Still hearing the voice of Morag in his head. Effie was brought inside the Bright Arms, the bar of her lover Dove, where he tended to her wounds and sang her lullaby to get her to sleep. Meanwhile, Lestrade and Eliza went off trying to find a doctor. Eliza used the opportunity to slip away, but not before seeing that some strange ghost, a naked man covered in blood with a knife, was following Lestrade around. Years ago, on a dark, cold night, Eliza Doomore was killed, dumped in the river and quickly forgotten by a city without care. But she didn't die. Years ago, Inspector Lestrade lost a friend and a mentor and was nearly killed in a savage attack, but they didn't die. Years ago, Broad Arrow Jack was sent far to the other side of the world for his crimes, but he didn't die. And years ago, Effie Clark stood up to one of the darkest killers on the streets of London to claim her freedom and independence, but she didn't die. The world of the dead stirs, restless, ever making room for those who pay the ferryman and cross the river to land on the dark Plutonian shores of the underworld. Yet the dead look ever towards our world, seeing through the eyes of time and yearning for a return to life. And when they return, it is a frightful thing, a thing of rot and misery, of decrepitude and of filth. They are the maggots at the rotten core of the apple, which may appear kissed with the blush of life on the outside, but harbors disease at its core. These apples fall from the trees in the devil's orchard, they say. And tonight, the devil is in the mood for a little harvest. As we begin tonight, the four of you are a little further ahead in time. It's the next evening. You are at Lady Rowan Mars' estate. The seance is in session. There is a table. Around this table are 4 people. A 5th one sits at the head. It is Eliza. Eliza's eyes are rolled back in her head. She has a hand on the skull and is speaking in language that none of you understand. The lights have dimmed of their own accord. There are other people, including Lestrade and some other guests and Broad Arrow Jack, just on the outside, standing around the table, watching the events unfold. Lady Rowan Mars is standing behind Eliza with a hand on her back, almost as if her hand is inside of her and she's controlling Eliza. Eliza has called forth the souls of 4 dead people. Their souls swirl around you in this room. You see the 4 people around the table, other than Eliza. Their hands locked on the table, fingers touching each other. One of them is Effie. She starts to shake. The others start to shake. At the center of the table parts to reveal a coin placed right in the middle. The spirits around you start to scream, start to swirl around at this maddening pace. You feel the fear that comes with seeing these entities swirling all around you. Lestrade, someone is coming up behind you. You feel a presence, something threatening. You turn around. Effie, as you sit there, you watch this woman that you don't know, that you don't recognize, walk towards you. And in a moment, you know. This is your mother. And she steps into your body. Eliza, you're standing on the shores of a river. You see an old man on the boat. He turns to you and goes, "Do you finally have your coin?" And Jack, there's something in your hand. It's cold and sharp, and it's hungering for something. And there's a voice inside your head that says, "Now's the time. Kill her." But just before that, let's take it back earlier that morning. Big shout out to my friend Kurt for donating a whole bunch of bits. People to have some advantages, 2 advantages each. Thank you very much, Kurt. Myriad. Lestrade, after the events of the day, after losing Eliza, what did Lestrade do?
Lestrade would have looked back after Eliza disappeared and kind of smiled to herself, shaking her head as she disappeared off into one of the alleyways away from the doctors. And in the morning, she would have decided to go see the magician.
You take a cab across town. The magician is, of course, as you would expect, in the area abutting the theater district, the part that's a little bit less traveled in the back, where the magicians gather and where the engineers that make their tricks and so on and so forth gather to trade secrets and work on their inventions. It's mostly a bunch of lofts that house God knows what sort of secrets. The magician that you are looking for is a man that you had known had been involved in the events some years ago. You and Sherlock Holmes, before his untimely death, had been involved in an investigation concerning one Lord Blackwood, who had faked coming back from the dead, and you had discovered that one of the people who had helped with this was, in fact, an engineer, a magician's engineer, named Masculine. You easily enough, by going through the papers and whatnot at the police headquarters where you work, find his address again, but it comes back to you. You travel down there. You know that after the events of Lord Blackwood, he was sentenced to a year in jail, and that he escaped using some of his magic tricks, he was recaptured. And when he was recaptured, his hands were accidentally broken to prevent further escape. Now, unfortunately, he can no longer work as a magician. He lives in the Limehouse district, which is near the opium dens. And as you enter this district that you know so well, you feel a little twinge, the little hunger that sits always at the pit of your stomach, that calls for a little bit of relief, a little bit of the sense of leaving behind the pain and the confusion that's kind of been following you around. You feel it tweak a little bit, but you're on a job, so you focus and you continue. You arrive at the shop, you knock on the door, and this man, older, balding, with little round glasses, a little leather harness in front of him with some tools, opens the door and says, yes, may I help you?
John Masculine?
Yes, who's asking?
I'm going to hold out my little card. The name is Inspector Lestrade. Had some questions for you. Not here to arrest you again.
Oh, I would hope not. I have, not only did I serve my time, I paid for it in full in other ways also. I do remember your name, though. You were involved in that affair, weren't you, with that dreadful detective fellow? What was his name? Holmes?
Holmes, Sherlock.
Well, you might as well come in, I guess. Please come in, Inspector.
I'll follow after him into his home.
You walk into his workshop, and it's just full of all sorts of there's harnesses, there's hooks, there's pulleys, there's walls and doors and traps and just all sorts of stuff, but all of it's kind of like covered in dust or not. There's a few things on the table that it looks like he's been maybe kind of working on. There's some mechanical element, things like that, but it really feels old and dusty and kind of abandoned. And as you walk in, you can't help but pick out the odor of opium, of opium having been burnt here not too long ago. And when you take a good look at him, you can see that he's probably just coming down from a bit of a dragon ride.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suppose you're here looking for tips on magic card tricks or anything?
No, I'm afraid not. Actually, hear about Lord Blackwood.
No, has he returned from the dead once more?
Not quite. However, there is some connection between him and a current case I'm working on, and I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I haven't heard ne'er nor hide of Lord Blackwood since he was killed by that Holmes fellow, and since I did my time. But if you have questions, I may try to answer them if I can.
What do you know of the Blackwood Society?
Not much. When you take a piece of fish that is rotten and you throw it in the water, invariably other little smaller fish will come around and start to eat it. I imagine that when someone like Lord Blackwood, someone of such stature and power and reputation, dies, there are always those who are eager to come and nibble at whatever's left of the corpse.
Do you know much of Lady Rowan Mars, then?
Perhaps. What is this? What is this about? Is this just information gathering? Is there some kind of crime that's been committed? As far as I know, it's not illegal yet for members, especially high-class members of our society, to gather in the social groups.
bodies were dug up a few days ago. 2 specific bodies. The McVeys.
Oh, I read about that. Were you involved in that too, then?
Lestrade sort of just unconsciously goes up and rubs at the scar on her neck. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Inspector Lestrade, I don't want to waste your time. I'm no longer involved with any of these things. If these people believe that magic is actually something that exists and not something that we make with our own hands, then there's nothing I can do for them. If they believe that, they do not need me. Lord Blackwood knew that there is no such thing as the occult and the supernatural in magic, and that is why he needed my talents. If these people believe otherwise, then I am nothing to them. However, he gets up and he walks over, and there's kind of like something that looks like maybe like a mannequin or something, and there's like a tarp over it, and you can see that the tarp is clean. There's no dust or anything. I am a reformed criminal, and thus I intend to help the law whenever I can. And he pulls off the tarp, and you see on this sort of wooden mannequin this kind of shoulder harness. It's got black feathers, long black feathers, and they sort of come down over in the back of it. The harness itself looks like it's attached and made for maybe like a feminine figure or something like that. And it doesn't look like it's meant to be anything other than decorative. Like, it doesn't look like it's got mechanics in it that would make them move or anything like that. But the feathers are very strange, and that type of feather you've never seen before. They're these really long, thin feathers, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of them sort of all layered on top of each other. And at first, when you see this coat, it looks like it's made of one piece of cloth, but then he just like this, and you see like all these feathers kind of blow out, almost like fine hair. Have you ever seen such feathers, Inspector?
I have not before.
They are from a bird called the long-tailed widow bird. You may not have heard of it. It is not native to this land. It comes from Africa mostly. Every few weeks, a bag of these is left on my doorstep, and I have strict instructions to use them to build this thing. A man named Broad Arrow Jack came to see me last spring, asking for this.
Interesting. And any reason for the use of these feathers in particular?
That is beyond my knowledge. They are extremely sturdy and beautiful and a little otherworldly, which I assume perhaps is the desired effect.
And is it a simple coat, or is it more?
I've not been asked to do anything more. It appears to be ceremonial, perhaps more than anything. But the metal that was used to build the harness was provided by Broad Arrow Jack also, and it came from a place called Blackfriar Metalworks, which I believe is owned by Lady Rowan Mars. These people are very dangerous, Inspector, and I know you've faced your share of danger in the past, but I would certainly urge you to be careful. They have learned from Lord Blackwood's mistake.
I appreciate the warning.
May I offer you a gift before you go?
Certainly. I won't say no to a gift.
He comes up to you And he's got an empty hand, and he goes like this, and all of a sudden there's this beautiful bouquet of flowers in his hand. I don't know if you're a fan of flowers, but I find that they always make a wonderful gift. They are beautiful to look at, and they smell great.
Lestrade will sort of lean down to kind of humor him and give them a sniff.
They do smell very nice. Have you ever wondered how magicians do their tricks, Inspector?
Well, logically, I would think that there's some sort of mechanism involved, some sort of trickery.
Very astute. And he rolls back his sleeve, and you see that there's like a strap around his arm and some sort of mechanical device that holds the flowers kind of crimped down, and that when he moves his hand, it shoots forward and delivers the flowers. Before you go, and he gives you the flowers, let me give you something else. And he goes over to the table where he was, and he opens a box, and you can see he removes the thing on his arm, and he puts it in there, and he puts a few things in the box, and then he closes it, and then he comes over. A gift. As demonstration that I am on the side of the good now. On the side of the law. And he hands you the box.
I'll take it and sort of nod my head to him.
And again, that scent of opium hits your nose, and it's like you're starting to sweat almost, like you're smelling it now, and it's really kind of gnawing at you.
That smell?
Body odor, I assume.
I assume with the lingering injuries from your previous arrest, you might use something to alleviate that pain.
Do you also suffer from lingering pain?
I do.
Perhaps I can give you one more gift then before you go. And he goes over to another table, and he pulls out a piece of wrapped cloth, and he fiddles around with it, and then he comes back and he hands you a little bundle of cloth with something in it. A little bit of Oriental magic.
I take it and pocket it, and then I am going to take out a couple of coins from my pocket.
Oh, please. An upstanding
Consider
citizen.
it a thank you for your information. Not everyone would have been so forthcoming.
He takes the coins and then goes like this, and they're gone. The hands are still good for something once in a while.
I'll I've got a little hat on. I'll tip my hat to him as I make my way out of the apartment and back onto the street.
Remember what I said, Inspector? These people are dangerous, perhaps more so than what you've encountered before. If they do not need the engineer to perform their magic tricks, well, even logic would dictate that there's only one answer left.
Let's hope they found a better engineer then.
Let's hope. You will return home, I assume, and settling in for the evening will partake of your medicinal...
This is the morning of the party,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Lestrade will sort of shrug off her normal attire. She normally wears like a pantsuit and like a button-up shirt. She's going to shrug off her normal attire and sort of put on feminine clothes, ? As feminine as she might dress. It's still very masculine in the silhouette, but she does have like a long skirt, a long sleeve shirt that buttons up with not quite a tie, but maybe quite a bow. And her hair, she'll let her hair down loose. It's quite long. It's got little bumps and everything from being held up in a tight ponytail. She doesn't quite know what to do with herself. trying to be feminine, so she'll like blot on some rouge on her cheeks rather messily. And then I think at that point she would realize she has a lot of time left before Effie is supposed to come and pick her up, and she will take out the little bundle that Masculine had given her and partake.
Very well. See what happens with that in a moment. Speaking of medicine, Broad Arrow Jack, you wake up in the morning, you realize you're in the private clinic where you went to get some help. The bullets have been removed from you, you're feeling stiff, but your wounds are bandaged. At this point, it's more of a, I guess, perhaps an anger or something that is afflicting you more than the wound itself. You're feeling fairly fit. You sit up. Bit of sunlight's coming in through a little window. You can hear in the other room the doctor, the off the books doctor who fixed you up, is moving around, clanking some stuff around and whatnot. But you are alone. How are you feeling?
Jack's gonna sit up, and somewhat frantically, he's covered in sweat, white as a ghost, and just gonna frantically kind of look around until he spots the doctor.
The doctor does come in fact, at some point and says, "Oh, you're awake. Good. Listen, I'll need the room very shortly here. I have another patient coming who will need it to convalesce for a little bit. If you would just like to pay up your tab and be on your way so that I have time to clean up a little bit behind you here."
Jack's gonna stand up very quickly and almost lurch directly at the doctor, putting his arm across his throat and pushing him up the wall.
Oh, what are you doing, man?
Did you hear anything? What happened? Has anybody said anything?
About what?
Has anybody found anything? Answer me.
No, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
You don't know? You know why I'm here?
You just came in and shot. I didn't ask any questions.
It's been a while since I came in. You can tell me you've heard nothing.
Well, I heard there was a fracas out by the Brixton Arms, but it got cleaned up quite quickly. There's look, I don't want any problems here. Just pay your tab and go. I have other patients to see.
Jack's gonna slowly let him down and reach back, somewhat like he's reaching for his wallet, and instead he's gonna pull out his knife.
Oh, hey.
You never saw me, right?
No, of course not. Of course not. Look, if it's a problem, you don't even have to pay me. It's fine.
Jack's gonna look behind him really quickly and just yell, "Shut up! Don't talk to me anymore. I know what I have to do." And he's going to take the knife.
Friend, don't.
And he's going to shove it directly into the doctor's gut.
Oh! As you stab him, he's looking at you. He really can't believe what you just did. He's like, but why?
I've had enough surprises for one day.
He slides down, blood trailing on the wall. Behind you, you hear, "You should take a trophy. What's the point of killing them?" Let me ask you, can I tell you a secret?
Jack's gonna pretend like he doesn't hear it, and he's gonna bend down and begin wiping the blood off of his knife with the doctor's robes.
Did you know that God doesn't exist?
The fact that you're here tells me something exists. I know what you want from me. I know what I have to do. But right now, I can't do it.
I actually think you need to stop taking orders. What kind of a man are you? Taking orders for some rich bitch like that? I mean, is money really that important to you? I would have thought a man like you wanted status to be feared, to be recognized, not the means to take fucking tea in the afternoon in some bourgeois parlor, little finger up in the air. Why wouldn't you start thinking for yourself a bit more, Jack? Your name used to mean something on these streets, didn't it? Broad Arrow Jack, that meant something before here, didn't it? What do they call you now?
Something again.
Oh, will it? Well, that'll be the day. You know, it's not like it used to be. My brother and I, we killed 5 people and ate a good part of them. And all that people remember now is that something strange happened at the old orphanage. No one remembers names or deeds. People just forget. There's too much happening. Too many murders, too many killings every day. This place is hell. God doesn't exist. And this place is hell. And the only way you can become the devil is by killing the devil himself.
Jack's gonna kind of shake his head for a moment and think about what was just told to him. As much as I hate to admit it, got the point.
Run on back to her now. Broad Arrow Jack. Run on back to the devil. Let's see if the devil has room for you in his little kingdom.
Jack's gonna take the knife, put it back in his waistband, and just kind of look around.
Are you sure you don't want to take a bite? It's quite satisfying, you know.
I am no monster. Not like you.
That's why I'm in your head. Right? Because you're not a monster.
You chose to be here.
I chose nothing. If I had my druthers, I would cut you open from groin to gut, and I would feast on what I find inside. But unfortunately, I can't.
There is nothing you can do without me. So why don't you shut up and let me get on about my day? I'll get you what you want, and then you leave me the hell alone.
You hear nothing.
Jack's gonna kind of look down at the dead doctor, kind of peek his head out and look around. Does he hear or see anyone else?
No, it's pretty quiet. It's very early still. You can see a couple of, the night watchmen that are cleaning up the street, picking up the people who died overnight, the sick and whatnot, like a little wagon. But other than that, there's nothing much going on outside.
And Jack's gonna take some time to clean himself up so he doesn't have blood all over him, and he's gonna head back to try to find the wagon.
No problem. Effie. You wake up, Effie. You're alone in the bed. When you extend your hand, you can feel warmth still on that side, so Dove hasn't been gone very long. Your shoulder hurts something fierce. The doctor did a pretty good job, but you're not sure you're going to be able to use that arm for a little while. The smell of coffee and bacon grease reaches up through the floorboards to you. Otherwise, it's quite quiet, and just a little bit of that wane sunlight that's filtering in, and some motes of dust dancing in the beams. What do you do?
I think Effie she would get out of bed as slowly and gingerly as she can, and sort of get her bearings, and maybe take a sip of laudanum.
As you're taking your morning medicine, the door opens. Are you awake then?
I am, of course.
Well, I've got you some coffee here and some toast. How you feeling, love? And Dove comes in and he puts a little tray with a couple of cups of coffee and a few buttered toast, and a little thing of jam next to the bed, and he sits down. You're looking a little bit pale there, but not too much the worse for wear.
I'm perfectly fine. And she sort of looks over this sort of moment between them, and as darling as it is, she's a little bit sad about it. Her own feelings for Dove and what could have been. And she takes a sip of the coffee, but she doesn't really bother with the food, and she'll get up and she starts sort of milling about to start to get herself ready to leave. And I'm perfectly fine. It's just the laudanum,
Oh,
the hops.
where are you going, darling? You can stay here as long as you need. You're not fit to go out. You've been shot. Come back to bed.
No, I'm perfectly fine, Dove, of course, and I've got that soiree to attend, and I should go home.
You're not still thinking of going to that thing, are you?
Of course I am.
That man outside yesterday that was involved in that whole thing, the man that caused you to be shot, he's involved with those people. You can't go out there.
I'm perfectly fine, Dove. The shot wasn't for me. It was for Jack, but I'm fine, Dove. I'm going to this party. I'm going to see. Why are you
even arguing? You know you're not going to win this argument.
Is that so?
Aye, it is.
She sort of rears her head back like a snake at him.
Look, that was close yesterday. That was damn close. I thought I'd lost you there. And I know what we have has not been what it used to be. But I'll be twice damned if I'll let you go into a viper spit. Do you know what this Lady Rowan Mars had me do yesterday? You saw those two men yesterday with the shovels?
Uh-huh. Dove.
She had me dig up 3 corpses. That is what this woman paid me to do, to dig up 3 corpses, not just any corpses. Not just any corpses. Edward Nix, Black Suit Donahue, Karpov, 3 of the biggest killers this town has ever seen. Whatever they're doing up there. No, you're not. Effie, you're not going there.
I am not your wife, William. You've made that very apparently clear for quite some time.
Effie, I will not say it again if you don't sit down this moment.
Or what?
And he reaches out and he grabs you just under the jaw and just like kind of grabs your chin and goes, Effie, I will do what I have to do to keep you here. Do you understand me? I will not accept you to find me like this. Not on this topic.
He will feel cold metal at his throat. William Doyle. Are you like the rest of them to me? Is that what this is? Is this what this has always been? Are you like him? Are you like Gold Vic? Is that the game that you wish to play with me? Because I can be a forgiving woman. I truly can be, and you should know this better than anybody. But you lay a hand on me, and I'll see you 6 feet under.
Slowly releases your chin. Are you gonna gut me then?
You'll feel the knife slowly move away, and I think he might see that her hand is shaking.
Effie, I know I've not been terribly good at showing you the depths of my feelings for you. In fact, I know I've been down rotten about it. But if you don't know by now that I love you,
I'm going to the party, Dove. That's that. And your feelings, unfortunately, don't matter in this moment. You've made your stance clear on the status of our relationship. You wish to move no further, and I will go to the party.
And what if I change my mind on that? Will you stay then? Will you stay, Effie?
Is this your joke of a marriage proposal to me?
I'm just trying to keep you safe.
I have earned much more than this from you, William Doyle. I have put time in, years in with you, and you are wise to mind that. I'm going to the bloody party. I want to finish this thing, and you're not going to withhold me from that. There is money to be made here. There are secrets that can be sold, and I will not be brutalized by you. Am I clear?
Right you are. Right you are, Effie. I'm going to send some boys out, though, and they're going to be within earshot. If you get in any sort of trouble, you just scream your life out, Effie, and they are going to come and get you, and they will not stop for anyone.
She sort of stares him down for a moment. And she knows that this argument can only go so far. And she knows that Dove is going to do what Dove wants to do. I think she'll slowly put that little pocket knife away. They must keep their distance. I won't be embarrassed.
You won't even know they're there. Is that the knife that I gave you?
Of course it is.
Well, at least you're making good use of it. Come back to me, Effie. Some secrets are not worth dying for.
Think about that. And I think she'll storm out of the room and sort of give the door a good slam on her way out. She's most upset with him.
And I think you'll find that very discreetly there are men following you most of the day. They're staying at a distance and they're staying discreet. You're very good at picking them out, so you know they're there, but you definitely know. He's watching out. You go home then?
Yes.
And prepare for the evening?
Yep.
Will you be picking up Lestrade?
Yeah, in the evening when she heads out, she'll take her hansom cab there.
Tell me, the doctor has bound your arm so it doesn't move. Do you leave it that way, or do you...
Oh, no, she immediately takes... And the moment she's out of eyeshot of Dove, she's tearing it off.
Okay.
She will suffer those consequences later.
It is painful and stiff, but you can kind of manage a little bit.
She'll be fine.
She'll be fine. Eliza, where did you go after you left Lestrade high and dry?
Yeah, Eliza, I imagine once she dodged Lestrade, she just started running and ran the whole way home, back to Percival. And she would burst through the door and slam it and lock it behind her and kind of press her back up against the door. And she's had quite a long run. She's not a very athletic girl. She would just be kind of pressed against the door, her chest heaving, trying to catch her breath. And as she's doing so, she kind of feels this wave of nausea rolling up inside of her from her stomach up to her throat, and it becomes a little bit uncontrollable. And as she does so, she is going to snap forward and retch. And it's not something that she would have expected. It's almost a surprise to her. As she retches, it's just this almost golden ichor that's just flung from her body. Where's Percival?
I believe you left him in your bed.
I would imagine Percival probably gets speckled with this golden ichor vomit.
As you start to retch, the sound of it wakes him up and he turns around and he sees you, and the first thing on his face is a look of concern, and he kind of moves towards, but then he sees what's coming out of your mouth. Sorry. And he kind of backs up a little bit, and he's got this very concerned look. Eliza, dear, are you quite all right?
I'm sorry.
What on earth is that?
And her eyes are kind of growing a bit wider as she's looking at it, as she's trying to take in what happened to her, and she doesn't really quite understand it. It's just another strange change in her body that it feels like the hits just keep rolling today.
And when you look down at it, you can see that out of it, these little golden mushroom-like things are growing. Literally growing out of it in front of your very eyes, as if they're absorbing all this golden ichor that you vomited. And shortly, there's just a bunch of these little gold-capped mushrooms lying there, having taken root on the wood of your floor. Percival reaches down and picks one up.
Oh.
Is that a mushroom?
I think so. I don't understand.
Are you all right, dear? And he puts a hand on your shoulder and he kind of pulls you down to sit down next to him. They smell quite good, actually. Is it the first time this happens to you?
It's never happened before. I'm not quite sure what it means.
Eliza,
I think I'm fine.
do you have witches in your family?
I don't rightly know my family. Not sure. You know something about this?
Well, there are legends. Witches, but the dark ones. The ones who serve the powers below, rather than the powers of nature. There are stories of something they call witch's butter. And it is supposedly, well, something similar to this, these golden mushrooms that... Are you sure you're not a witch?
Don't think so. What does the witch's butter do? What does it mean?
It's rumored to have medicinal properties. It is a gift from the devil to those who follow him. You're meant to eat them. And, well, they supposedly cure. Eliza, dear, this is a dark power.
You think it would help you?
Well, fruit of the devil. And he pops one into his mouth. And he chews on it, and it's actually quite good.
He just sees like a look of like mild disgust on her face.
It's actually quite good. It tastes, well, buttery and a little fatty, and it's not too chewy.
It ain't natural, Percival.
Oh. Eliza, it's... I don't know where this comes from, but I know you. I know you're not a bad person, so if you're doing it, then it must not be bad.
Maybe.
No, but you're not an evil person, Eliza. You're a good person. That is why I was so fascinated by you. You're so innocent, and I cannot believe that anything that would come from you would be evil.
She's gonna lead forward into him and take his hands into her own.
Miss Eliza, I'm sorry. Am I upsetting you in some way?
Oh, it's just, you know, these things normal people don't quite know. And when I touched you, I saw something. What are you,
what did
Percival?
you see? What did you see?
Horns. Fire. Great wings.
Eliza, there are people on this earth who are the unfortunate progeny of the union between beings of heaven and hell and human beings. My mother was human, but my father was a dark angel from another place. We're called Nephilim. I don't serve the devil or any such thing. I have free will. I'm a free man. I do what I want, but I do have a certain infernal lineage. I suppose you don't really believe what I'm telling you. It's rather strange. I get it.
I ain't so innocent as you think I am, Percival. I'm an all living filth.
Well, why would you say
I'm
that?
very smart. And now this. Now you, of all people, to be attracted to me.
But it was your innocence, your goodness that attracted me. I saw what you did for these people, the way you treated them with kindness, even when you told them difficult truths. I wouldn't believe it, Eliza. I wouldn't believe it. You're not like that. I wouldn't believe it.
The devil wears many faces, Percival.
Certainly not one as yours.
Starts to lean in closer to him.
Miss
You
Eliza.
think I'm pretty, Percival?
I do, Miss Eliza, but please, this is... we don't need to do this, Miss Eliza.
Slowly, the softness of her face is returning through the confusion, and there's a different glimmer in her eye, something he hasn't quite seen. And her hand is starting to reach up his shirt as she's edging closer to him.
He's kind of like trying to back up, but then at some point his back kind of hits the wall. He's like, Miss Eliza, please, I'm sorry.
Always there, watching in the shadows. You didn't ever want to touch me, did you, Percival?
I would never think such things, Miss Eliza.
To taste me. Perhaps the devil in you recognized the devil in me.
No, Miss Eliza, there's no such thing. You're way too kind for this.
Too kind. You don't know me very well, Percival.
Well,
and
go ahead.
She's going to press her lips to his.
And he backs away, but he's got nowhere else to go, and you can tell that he's like just really kind of flabbergasted. He doesn't know at all sort of what's going on. Miss Eliza, please, you don't need to do this. I like you fine, Miss Eliza, and perhaps if we spend some time together and...
Don't be silly, Percival. You want to do this for a long time, haven't you? And nimble fingers are starting to work away buttons of his shirt.
Miss Eliza, if I know one thing, as the type of creature I am, is that you are only evil if you do evil things, and you are only good if you do good things. It is up to you to decide. You do not have the devil inside of you, Miss Eliza. It is up to you to decide how you want to act. It is up to you to make the decision whether you're good or evil. You are not inherently thus.
She makes it halfway up the buttons, and as he's saying that, the last few buttons, she just rips his shirt open.
Ah!
Stop talking, Percival. Enjoy yourself. And she's just going to sink into him.
And as the camera pans away from this loving romantic scene between the dead girl and her half-demon lover, I don't even know where to go from here. Myriad.
Yeah.
You're walking along that corridor. You have the gun out in your hand. Bobby, the other cop, is following you. You've told him to dim the light a little bit to not announce your presence because you can hear voices nearby down the hall. A man and a woman. You hear the woman say, "We need the pages." "Fuck the pages." She said she needed the pages. That was the deal. "Fuck the pages. Let's just cut her eyes out and feed them to her. She's not going to be happy if we don't bring her the pages. I just want to wear her skin like a suit." What was that? Did you hear that? You hear a knocking sound. You are drawn out of the fog you were in. You find yourself lying on your divan, your shirt open, your hair for once down, long around you. There's that feeling of kind of coming out from underwater that you always get after you've gotten to ride the dragon. and you hear an insistent knocking at the door. And as you come to, you can feel again Malcolm's knife plunging into your neck. You can feel his fetid breath on your face, and for a moment you think you're right back there, but then you shake your head and your vision starts to clear and you see that you're in your drawing room and there's a knocking at the door.
Sort of take a deep breath in, sitting up, by smoothing down my hair, button up my shirt. One moment. And I'm gonna sort of kind of stumble up, trying to get like my bearings. And I will see the box that Masculine had given me sitting on the end table. I hadn't opened it yet, so as I'm sort of gathering all of my things, I look at it and I open it and I see what's inside. And I undo the cuff of my shirt sleeve and I pull my shirt sleeve up, and I will go ahead and put that on. And then I will pull my sleeve down, secure it back, and grab my overcoat and go to see who's at the door.
You see a driver that you recognize as Effie's driver is at the door. Mr. Lestrade, Miss Lestrade?
Yes, I'm sorry. Is Effie's here?
Yeah, she waits for you in her car. Shall I wait for you here? Are you ready?
No, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go now. Yes.
Well, very well.
She looks frazzled at this moment. She's still smoothing down her hair, not quite used to having it loose, and she feels like she's fidgeting as she's walking towards the cab, trying to like walk like a lady.
You, Effie, see some woman you don't really recognize. Note to future Bleak. Edit this part out.
Note to future Morty and clip this part so we can't do that.
You, Effie, see your driver come back with some woman you've never seen before walking behind him. And as she approaches and step closer into the light, you see that it's Inspector Lestrade.
I feel like Effie would sort of be delighted in normal circumstance to see Lestrade like this. And just to note, Mr. is also there in the cab, and I imagine his like little head is hanging out of the window of it and is like panting and like possibly very excited to see you as well.
Lestrade always has like a little bag of jerky for Mr. So as she goes up to the window, and she'll feed like a little piece of jerky to Mr. It's like her peace offering.
He would take it. He would be quite happy with it. And he'll like sort of, she'll recall him to sit politely at her feet. Lestrade.
Good evening, Effie.
What a delight this is. And you see in her face she's waning and that she's still upset from her conversation with Dove. She's still in pain and she's still very much on the edge of her seat.
How's your shoulder?
I'm perfectly fine. Never been better, in fact.
Lestrade will sort of cant her head a little bit. You don't need to put up a front in front of me.
Oh.
I don't sell secrets.
No, you don't, Lestrade, but you certainly buy them. Let's just leave it at that. I'm fine.
You have a weapon on you?
I do. And she has a whip that's concealed, along with her pocket knife from Dove. And I've missed her, and... Listen, this wasn't my idea, and I fought tooth and nail for it. And I imagine Dove's men are, like, across the street, like, smoking a cigarette and probably, like, pretending to not be there. That's, like, my mental image of it. He was insistent.
I'll sort of, like, lean forward to glance out the window across the street and give a little wave to the men. Well, it's probably weird to say this, but I think that his paranoia is justified in this situation.
I think he's overreacting, but that's just me. I spoke with him, by the way, about your grave business.
Oh, did you?
I did. It wasn't him.
You mean he didn't do the digging?
It wasn't his doing at all.
Okay, Effie.
Wouldn't you agree, Lestrade, that we have much bigger issues at hand than a few undug graves? Dug
up.
Graves. Dug up. Desecrated.
I think there are a great many things at hand currently, and I think each of them deserves attention. Because if you ignore one, it's going to sneak up on you.
Have you considered that perhaps we are going to the source of this grave digging business tonight?
Yes. Yes, I have.
And that those who perhaps were allocated to procure the digging of the graves don't really have a hand in the whole thing. And it doesn't really matter anyway. She has money in her hand.
Whether or not he had a hand in digging up the grave was not really what I needed to know. I needed to know why. Who?
Well, that I do know.
Do you know?
Lady Mars enlisted the help of an unknown person to dig the graves up.
At this point, do I know actually whose graves were dug up as well?
The graves from today, from the other ones? No, because you didn't... That happened just before you were at the shooting. And then after that, you went to Mescaline, and then after that, you got high. You know, I was going to solve the grave murders, but then I got high. So you haven't gone back to the police station, so you wouldn't have the name of the other 3 graves that were robbed.
But I do know that, do I know that 3 other graves were robbed?
I don't think you heard that either.
Okay. I didn't want to, like, run a game or anything, so. I'm operating under the assumption that it was the first 2 that we had stumbled across. Well, it is quite unnerving that it is her that has a hand in this, given the events.
I think Effie would quietly tuck the money away, and with a gloved hand, she'll take yours and hers, and she'll lace your fingers with you and give you a squeeze and say, a strategy, relationship is certainly a working one, and I know I can be a bit of a menace. But I am counting on you to have my back, and I yours.
Lestrad's going to turn to look at you. For all that it's worth, I wouldn't have left you in the streets.
She's gonna give you a hard look. I know. I know that.
Well, don't worry. I'll be on the lookout, and with two of us, nothing should slip by. Well, three of us, and I'll look down at Mister.
Imagine his little tail's wagging.
You also notice, you would also have noticed, Lestrade, that there are people following you.
We talked about that already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I waved at them.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed it. I was answering.
It's okay. We've moved on from that. And then, how many men are following?
You've seen 3 or 4 different ones.
Oh my god. It was supposed to be a couple, and then Dove took liberties. It seems. She'll sort of look back out the window and, can we make a promise together?
Within reason.
Well, it's really my asking of a promise from you. If things go south, if I don't get back to Dove safely or in one piece, I think we'll see all of London burn down, so...
Well, that just gives us more of a reason to make sure that you make it back in one piece then, because I don't want to deal with that man on a rampage.
Although it would be quite a spectacle, wouldn't it?
No, Effie. No, it wouldn't.
It's almost a bit romantic. He sort of proposed to me. It's very strange. I don't want to talk about it in fullness, but...
Did you say yes?
I said nothing.
Aren't you meant to say yes or no?
Then he told me he loved me, and then I said nothing to that as well. I just sort of left.
I think you're sending him mixed signals.
I do love him.
You should have told him then.
No, it's better if I keep those sort of feelings quiet from him. His ego might get too large. He knows.
If you say so.
He knows already. I've said it plenty of times before. The answer is always the same.
Is it something you can live with?
Well, this time he proposed to me. It was a horrible moment, and it was out of desperation, but...
Out of desperation?
He didn't want me to go tonight.
So he tried to bargain with you by proposing?
It was a messy conversation, and perhaps we'll recant it over drinks, but, yes. I sort of want to hold it over his head for a bit, but
of course.
Nevertheless.
Wouldn't expect anything else.
No, I suppose you wouldn't. Oh well. Shall we do this then?
No time like the present.
And the present is when you are pulling up in front of Lady Rowan Mars' house. Meanwhile, inside, a little earlier, Jack, you've arrived. Did you bring the bodies, Jack?
Jack looks a little disheveled. Obviously has some stains from where he's been shot and patched up. And he's gonna not even look up, just continue to look down and kind of cut his eyes up at her. Yes, I brought your bodies. But I have a question for you.
My darling, I don't have much time. The guests are about to arrive.
You will make time.
Well,
I
guess
have done everything you've asked. And then some. I pulled bodies halfway through London, I desecrated graves and pulled them out of the ground. I have voices in my head telling me you're the devil. Are you the devil?
Darling, are you quite all right?
I might be thinking clearly for the first time in quite some time. Are you the devil? Are you going to tell me what this is all about?
My darling, I am quite literally the furthest thing away from the devil that there is.
Then tell me what's going on.
I need something of mine that is very important to me was lost. I hired a few miscreants to get it for me. I gave them an opportunity they had been looking for. I sacrificed other people that were also important to me in order that I might get what I want, and they failed. And as I'm sure you've worked out by now, I do not like it when people fail me. And so now I have to go through this entire farce because the people who have what I want are dead. And I need to know what they know. And so, Jack, darling, am I the devil? I am not the devil. But I will play the devil if I need to get what I need. And you can either be someone who helps me,
Or
I'm sure you can work that out by yourself. Now, be a good boy. Go and put on your suit. It's been laid out for you. Our guests will arrive soon. You know what
I'll
you need
play
to
your
do.
dog for now. But if Lestrade's at this party, she won't leave alive. And Jack will turn and walk away.
A few hours later, you have arrived at the party. Eliza, how do you get to the party? And more importantly, do you bring a +1?
How good does Percival look after, the mushroom puke eating and sexy time? How's he feeling?
Looks pretty, he's got a bit more lead in his pencil.
Okay.
He definitely looks like, he's gotten a little bit of juice back, so to speak. How does Eliza feel about the whole sexy time thing? Is Eliza regretting her rash, hysterical actions?
No, I think she's right in that high. I think she gets up that next day and she's just, let's go get pretty now. And I think seeing Percival looking better, she would take him along with her and we have to go look like high society with things to do, and I want you on my arm now. And she would take him along with her to go get washed and her hair done and clothes that Lady Rowan had basically all set her up with for the day. And she would just be, instead of her usual shying away for something like this, she would be riding that high pretty hard. Anyone who would have known her in the past certainly wouldn't recognize her right now.
When you return transformed, looking like a perfect young woman of high society. Percival is taken aback. He says, Miss Eliza, what the devil has gotten into you?
Perhaps the devil has gotten into me.
This soiree you're attending, where is it? Who's hosting this thing?
Lady Rowan? Do you know of her?
Lady Rowan Mars.
That would be the one.
She's the one who came to get you?
She is.
Eliza, you can't go there.
Why can't I?
Whatever Rowan Mars has planned, it will not be good for anyone who is not part of those plans.
You don't think I can take care of myself?
I don't know what I think anymore. You've been quite the bundle of surprises. Quite pleasant ones, but this is... You know... Lady Rowan Mars is not human.
After all that you've seen of me, Percival, what do you think I am? And now what I know of you, what are you?
I simply strive to be Percival. I've done good things, I've done bad things, and I am simply trying to be me. I'm trying not to let who my parents were control who I am. I've done horrible things, but I've also done beautiful things. And I'm just trying to keep the balance on that side.
I'm trying to be better too. That maybe our definitions are a bit different. What's happening to me, it ain't natural.
How did you come to be this way, Miss Eliza? If you don't mind me asking, if that's not too forward.
Remember all those murders? The women and prostitutes.
Oh, the Jack the Ripper murders.
Yeah. Had me throat slit, thrown in the river. I didn't die.
How?
Crawled my way out of the muck. And I figured out how to survive with whatever the fuck I am now.
Miss Eliza, such language.
Does it matter? I should be in heaven. Or at least I thought so. But I'm not. God doesn't want me, Percival.
Oh, that's not true, I'm sure.
It's not. Then why am I here?
Well, there must
Call
be...
me Elf. I'm fucking rotten, Percival. I'm a dead woman, walking.
Miss Eliza, there must be some explanation. I know better than most, and there are. How did he put it? There are things in heaven and hell that are. I don't remember. I've never read these books, but There are far greater things in heaven and hell than are dreamt of in your philosophies. That's the line.
I'm a sin, Percival.
You're not. Why? Because you've enjoyed physical love? Because you were sick? Because you were different?
Perhaps because the first time I've ever enjoyed physical love was with you. Is that what makes me a sinner? We attract what we are, don't we?
I don't think this is right, Eliza.
Are you coming or are you staying?
Are you dead set on going?
I'm going.
Then yes, I am coming.
Wash up.
Yes,
You
I
can't
believe
be
I will.
going over there looking like that.
I didn't dare say, but you do look very fitting, Miss Eliza.
How kind of you.
I'll go wash.
Very well then. I'll be waiting.
And so eventually, you all find yourselves arriving at Lady Rowan Mars' house, which is a very impressive house in one of the richer districts of the city. It's one of those big, vast Gothic mansions with the iron gate in the front and the little garden between the house and the street, so that the house is kind of hidden away a little bit from the traffic of the street. You are brought in. When you walk in, the house itself is very tastefully decorated. It's all dark, rich woods, beautiful marble floors, deep, rich curtains, deep, rich red curtains, bookshelves everywhere, fireplaces. There are servants and butlers moving around. There are a number of people there with you. The lot of you are now at Lady Rowan Mars's house. You have not yet seen Lady Rowan. Has Jack been mingling?
Yeah, Jack's kind of been walking around, scoping out everyone. Jack is keeping a poised eye out for Lestrade. Making small talk near the door just so he can catch her as soon as she walks in.
Okay, so we'll get to that in 1 second. Thank you so much, Kurt. Kurt has thrown some more bits at you people. A few more advantages kicking around. Save them, because you're probably about to need them. All right, so you're waiting for Lestrade. Let's do that then. Let us say that some of the other guests have arrived. Everyone's in the drawing room having cocktails and sort of waiting, and you do see that the butler is leading both Effie and Lestrade in, and I would say you're probably not waiting at the drawing room, you're probably like waiting in the anteroom or something like that. But you do see them coming together, and they're coming together, and they have Mister is with them, the rather large puppy.
It's just a
Jack-
baby.
Yep.
Jack will kind of walk over to them. I'm glad to see you're all right. And he will look at Effie.
Same to you. I understand that was quite the mess last night. Never better, though, on my end.
Good to hear. And you. And Jack will very pointedly look Lestrade straight in the eyes. How do you feel this evening?
Well, I wasn't shot, so I feel great.
There's no need for medication for you, I assume?
Nope.
Of course not. And I do hope you make yourself comfortable. The lady shall be around shortly. Do be careful. And Jack will turn and walk away.
Odd one.
Mr. Growls.
I think Effie would just let him growl at him. What does he mean by you be careful? We're in his lady love's home. His home, presumably.
He was off. Remember in the garden?
Yes, but men like Jack don't do well in high society for too long, trust me. I would never dare bring Billy here.
But off Effie.
Mm-hmm. The talking to himself, right?
You were with him last night, was he acting strange then, or?
I had only run into him briefly until right before that shooting had started. We had just said hello. But I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but I can't help but think that something about this place is enough to drive one mad. You know, he was normal before he came back and popped up into the world again.
Normal-ish.
Well,
criminal.
Normal's. It's like saying Dove is normal, which in a way he is.
Keep an eye on him.
I'll do my best.
Don't find yourself alone with him.
Well, I won't be. I have Mister.
I'll give Mister a little scritch on the head.
He's very happy with the scritch. You move further into the house. You encounter a few people in the drawing room. With you are a number of people. You are introduced to Lord Lovecrest and his wife Abigail. You are introduced to a strange man, big, hulking, big beard, walking stick. He's introduced to you as James Keziah Delaney. You also meet a young man named Byron Gradgrind, a older woman named Maura Tulkinghorn, and another younger woman named Estelle Volk. If you wish, go ahead and give me, let's call them, my thing has gone out, but let's call them learning rolls maybe, or hold on, let me just go see what I would ask you to give me. Give me all 11. Yeah, so go ahead and give me logic plus learning, or empathy and inspiration, whichever one you like. See if you have any talents that would help you. I see that Bones, you have well traveled once per mystery. If you wanted to do that to see if you actually are connected to one of these people.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
All right, so you can use your well traveled. So make a manipulation test.
Okay.
That would be your empathy plus manipulation.
Well, that's 9. That's a lot. So 1, 2, 3.
Reminder, you're looking for at least
4,
a 6.
5, 6.
Would I be able to roll with any sort of advantage on this one?
Well, you do have a number of advantages. Also looking...
I meant more for story reasons.
Yes. Absolutely. And I'm also looking at your thing. Also remember, you do have elementary as a power myriad. So don't forget that if ever you want to use that.
Yeah.
I got 3 successes.
Okay, and you also have contacts myriad that you could use. Once per session, you can decide that you already know a certain NPC and that your relationship's a positive one.
Interesting. Who was the hulking man you said?
James Keziah Delaney. So let's do this first. Go ahead and roll that first roll you wanted, and then that'll tell me what I tell you about these different people. And then you can decide if you want to use your power to nab one of them. So your logic plus learning, I guess it was, the first one?
Yeah, I got 2 successes. Bones got 3.
Okay. So, some of the names ring familiar, especially to Lestrade. Byron Gradgrind is the nephew of Lord Gradgrind, who was killed by Mora and Malcolm. He's an industrial magnate. Mora Tulkinghorn is the widow of Lord Tulkinghorn, who was killed by Mora and Malcolm. Estelle Voke is the daughter of Master Voke, the lawyer, who was killed by Mora and Malcolm. Both of you would know Lord Lovecrest and his wife. He is a banker. She is a dedicated importer of exotic animals. James Keziah Delaney is an adventurer. In his younger days, he was quite embroiled in some situation where he'd inherited an island off the western coast of Canada from his father, and the East India Trading Company had gone to war with him to get it. And he managed to secure a small fortune due to that. With the 3 rolls that you have, Bones, the 3 successes that you have, the rumors about James Delaney was that he was somehow involved with his half-sister and that she died in mysterious circumstances some years ago. He's kind of a shut-in now, but he used to be a fairly well-known adventurer kind of feller. And if you've ever watched the TV show Taboo with Tom Hardy, that's James Keziah Delaney.
I've seen it once or twice.
Yeah? Well, it's him, just a little older now.
Who?
Yeah, do you need a moment?
That's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
So, would either of you like to use your contact or your other power there to make a friend?
I want to say Lestrade probably knows Delaney.
Just reading exactly. Yeah, so you would have been involved in a case of someone had stolen something from his house, and you had been the one to recover it. Now, Holmes had been the one to recover it, but you had been able to take credit for it at that time. And so Delaney, who's not at all nice guy, had said that, if you ever needed a favor that you could come and ask.
I'm going to point him out to Effie. Could be a useful ally here.
What about
and
you,
I'll give
Effie?
him a wave.
It was just Delaney that she recognized.
No, you recognize all those
all
other
of
people too.
them?
Yeah, with your 3 successes, everything I said, you got, and on top of that, you know the thing about his half sister and her mysterious death, which is something that Lestrade doesn't necessarily know.
Right. And the man who has his island off the coast of Canada, and remind me of his name again, I'm sorry.
That's him, that's Delaney.
Oh my god.
Yeah. How many times have you watched the show?
I'm trying to pick somebody different than Myriad.
Well, I'm down with you having knowing him. Like, I think it would be funny if Lestrade was like, you see that man, he could be an ally, and you're like, James!
Can she, like, if he's kind of a little bit of a rough and tumble fella, I would imagine he would want a secret or would want to sell a secret.
Possibly.
I feel like Effie would lean into Lestrade and say, I'm fairly certain he fucked his sister.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I swear, there was a rumor
Like
going
purposely?
around. Yeah. It was, he's quite good looking, however...
I don't see it.
Listen, I have a type, but I don't have to explain myself to you.
Older, yeah.
Dangerous is usually the type. Anyway,
yeah, that's
what I
it,
meant. Yes. But I'm fairly certain he did have carnal relations, like knew his sister biblically, if you know what I mean.
And you still want to mess around with him after knowing he fucked his sister?
Well, no, not necessarily. I haven't discarded Dove entirely, however, but I'm just saying he's a good-looking man. Brawny, rough.
As you say that, he's approaching Miss Clark. Mr. Lestrade.
Mr. Delaney.
Interesting meeting you here.
Is it?
Bit of an odd bunch around.
Yes, well.
Oh. People like Rowan Mars, they attract strange people. What does bring you here?
Speaking for yourself, Mr. Delaney, I'm perfectly normal.
I'm simply her plus one.
I was invited by Lady Mars.
Well then. If I was you, I'd probably be the one who's most nervous.
Me?
Nervous for... That's the second time we've sort of been warned. Is nervous for what?
I'm sure we'll find out in due time, but you don't strike me as the kind of people who come for the hocus pocus.
Well, perhaps you have me all wrong, Mr. Delaney. I quite enjoy all sorts of spectacles. There's information to be had.
Well, I hope you enjoy this one. Inspector.
Might I ask?
Yes?
How were you invited?
The same way everyone who was invited was, because I have something that I want and something that Lady Rowan Mars wants. And I believe she's going to attempt to persuade me that she can give me what I want in exchange for what she wants. And so if you are not quite sure what you have that she wants, I would probably start asking myself those kinds of questions.
Interesting.
As he goes to walk away, Lestrade is going to sort of grab him by the upper arm and lean in. Might be calling in that favor tonight. And I'll let him go without another word.
Eventually, you mingle. You get to move around a little bit. Is there anything you want to do before the situation, before the evening progresses? I'm sorry, I also forgot to say that at some point, Eliza, you arrive. You, along with Percival, are introduced by the butler So I totally just blanked on that. So Effie, Lestrade, Jack, you do see Eliza and some strange fellow that you've never seen before arrive at the place.
Does Effie recognize Eliza, even though she's all done up and beautified?
I'm gonna say make a roll. Observation.
Roll.
Observation.
Okay, so that's my empathy plus my observation.
Yeah, and I would say that Lestrade,
Okay.
you recognize her, like, because
1, 2,
you know her a
3.
bit more.
I like as she like walks by, I feel like I'm gonna catch eyes with her and be like very confused.
2 successes.
You recognize her as that really freaky, dirty, rag-bedecked urchin street person that jumped on the guy that shot you the other day.
And did I recognize her back then as Eliza, as the woman who was murdered, I thought?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You had recognized her as the woman you'd seen.
I think you'll get that same expression from Effie than Eliza did, that like she's seeing a ghost.
That's the girl from last night, right?
Lestrade, do you not recognize? You never saw her.
Saw who?
She's gonna get in very close to you and whisper in your ear as quietly as she can. That's the girl from 3 years ago.
What do you mean, Effie?
That was the girl I saw killed.
You said her throat was slit.
Yes, I know it is her. I know for certain it is her. I will never forget that face. Please tell me you believe me.
I'm gonna look back towards Eliza.
What is Eliza doing at this point?
Eliza has taken a drink, and she's standing very closely to Percival. She has an arm wrapped in his, and she is standing quite stiff, not looking uncomfortable, but as though she's trying to present an air about herself that does not necessarily reflect her past. She's trying to blend in with the people of higher society. She's not speaking, but she is very sweetly listening to everyone, and she's watching the interactions. She's letting Percival do most of the talking for her. She's trying to speak as little as possible, knowing that her accent will give her away in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Percival is seemingly very comfortable in this environment. He's kind of changed from the kind of hesitant, simpler man that he was with you to being a lot more sort of assertive and easygoing, and kind of seems to be able to talk with just about anyone. And so, yeah, so the two of you, the three of you see each other, I guess, and Jack, you're also there, so you see all this. Do you want to mingle? Do you want to do anything? What would you like to do at this point? Anyone?
Lestrade is going to remember the very, very weird things that happened last night. And without sort of breaking her stare at Eliza, she's going to say to Effie, "Of course I believe you."
I don't know how. I watched her throat get cut, and I watched her get thrown into that canal. I need to say something to her.
Now.
I suppose when, if not now, then when?
We'll get after it then.
I think Effie would walk up to you, Eliza, almost out of like concern on her face.
Lestrade's not far behind.
Is that you?
Eliza is currently standing with some of the other guests, and she's studying them as Percival speaks with them. And when you approach her, she looks to you with a bit of confusion, feigned confusion. I'm sorry. Do I know you?
We used to work together. By the canals. I know we did.
You see a little bit of panic in her eyes, and she kind of glances to the others around her. I don't think I quite know what you mean.
I think you do.
Effie.
Perhaps you have me mistaken for somebody else.
I think she's going to sort of look at you for a little bit longer and then look back at Lestrade and back at Eliza and very quietly say to her, I wish to talk privately.
Is everything all right, Miss Eliza?
Yes, I'm fine. Will we be beginning soon?
I don't know. Let me find someone who would know what's going on. He asks the butler. The butler comes by and he says, do we know what the schedule is? And it's like, might ask Mr. Jack Slattery. He would know. And so Percival kind of looks over and he says, I'll find out. And he heads over to you, Jack, where you're sitting in the back, just kind of eyeballing people, I guess, from the shadow. And he'll come over. Excuse me, sir, I've been told that you might be able to inform us as to when things are supposed to begin.
Could begin any time now, once the lady is ready. She's finishing up some preparation. Shouldn't be long.
Very well. Okay, thank you. Meanwhile, what are the three of you doing?
I think Effie would be hard to relent on the subject. She's like in shock right now, and I think she's sort of holding on to Lestrade with one hand, and the other hand, Mr's leash sort of is gripped.
Well, we'll leave you to the rest of your night. Perhaps afterwards we'll all manage to have a word privately.
Yes, perhaps.
Miss Eliza. And Lestrade will emphasize the name that you were called versus the name that you had given her, as she kind of nods and removes herself from the awkward situation.
And as you do that, you see the double doors to the room open. Lady Rowan Mars stands in the doorway. Behind her is a study of some sort. You can see candles, low light. You can see a table in the center of the room, a fireplace roaring. And Lady Rowan Mars says, my friends, I'm so delighted that you're here, and I must apologize for the unbearable amount of time I've asked you to wait. These sorts of things require very careful preparations, and I am sure you understand, wanted to make sure that everyone's safety was ensured, as we are about to embark on a strange journey together. I would invite you one and all to please step into the room, and we will begin tonight's entertainment. Miss Eliza, such a pleasure to see you. I'm so glad. Oh, and you look so absolutely devastatingly marvelous. They really did a fantastic job. Please, come with me. You, of course, will have the seat of honor at the table. You are all brought into this room. You can check out, if you want, the Albert Road. If you need the link again, just go and click on the link. You find yourselves brought into a room. There's a circular table. On the table are a number of candles, including a skull with a big candle on top of it. The walls are lined with books, stuffed animal heads. There is a fireplace in one corner, some very fancy electric lights also, but dimmed very low. She goes to the head of the table, to the biggest chair, and she says, Miss Eliza is gifted. Miss Eliza has the ability to contact the souls of those who are departed, our loved ones on the other side. I've asked her to come here tonight after seeing her perform in the Market Street. I find her talent to be a little unnerving, but never less than absolutely entertaining. If you would take a seat here, Miss Eliza, please, and she pulls a chair for you.
She takes her seat.
She'll say, and over here, if you would, please, Mr. Gradgrind, Miss Tulkinghorn, such a pleasure to see you again. Please, if you would sit over here. Miss Volk, such a pleasure to see you. Please, this seat right here is for you. And she turns to look at Effie, and she goes, Miss Clark, I do have a seat at the table for you.
How honorable.
Well, I know how fond you are of secrets.
That I am.
Would you like to take place then?
She'll take a seat.
My friends, please, during the ceremony, I would simply ask that you not interfere, as it may be very dangerous to do so. Not only could Miss Eliza's sanity be at stake, but so could all our lives. Please feel free to stand wherever you like about the room. If anything should occur, the gentleman in the bowler hat there, and you can see him at the bottom of the map there. There's a gentleman in a suit with a bowler hat pulled low, and you can barely see his face in the shadows. We'll take you all to safety. Simply follow him. Mr. Delaney, if you would, take place over here. Mr. and Mrs. Lovecrest, so lovely to see you again. Is this your friend, Eliza?
Yes.
And Rowan Mars and Percy look at each other. You don't need to make a roll, but anyone who is bothering taking it's kind of like time freezes. They look at each other, and there's kind of like that moment that you realize there's some sense of deep recognition between the two of them. And almost without missing a beat, Rowan Mars goes, such a pleasure to meet you, sir. Please, I would ask you, however, that you not interfere with Miss Eliza's demonstration of her skills. So if you could stand over here, please. Thank you very much. Inspector Lestrade, such a pleasure to meet you. Finally, I've heard so much about you. So glad you can make it. Please, simply stand over here.
I think it's worth noting that Effie would have given Lestrade Mr. before she sat down.
Okay, perfect. You are, of course, Eliza, aware that this is the woman that you saw basically killing you that you know killed you, right? I just want to make sure that you remember that little tidbit. My friends, as we begin, I will ask Eliza. She puts a hand on your back. Our sweet Miss Eliza here. I will ask her to reach beyond the veil into the dark underworld, where the dead continue living even after their bodies have ceased doing so. As a demonstration of Miss Eliza's talents, I have prepared a list of people who I believe would have interesting things to tell us. We will see if Miss Eliza can reach out to them. The ritual requires a few things, and one of the servants brings in this bowl with a bunch of green apples, puts it on the table, and another one brings in a carafe, and another one brings out glasses. My friends, the tree that God planted in the Garden of Eden before Adam and Eve was, as we all know, the tree of knowledge. The fruit that it bore was the fruit of knowledge. It contained all the knowledge that we mere mortals, men and women, were not meant to have. However, because of the duplicitous Satan, poor Eve was lured into eating from the apple and thereby transgressing against God. And while we decry this, because it did cost us paradise, we decry it thinking of what we've lost, but I say we should think of what we've gained. Because in that moment of eating the apple, and in that moment of sharing it with Adam, Eve may have defied God, but she gifted all those who came after her, all her children, all of us, with knowledge, with wisdom. We now understand the pleasures of life. We now understand the magic of life, the mechanics of life. We have reason, we think, we imagine great things. And so I invite you, my friends here, like Eve, to partake of the fruit of knowledge. She reaches out and grabs an apple and takes a bite out of it. Scrumptious. If you would, please, Jack, would you mind serving wine to everyone at the table, please?
Of course. And Jack will get to the wine and begin pouring some for everyone.
And each of you has a green apple placed in front of you. Effie, what do you do?
I think she looks directly into Eliza's eyes and takes a bite out of the apple for knowledge.
And with that, let us begin. Eliza, my dear, if you would, I would like you to reach out, cross the veil into the land of the dead, and I would like you to contact Lord Gradgrind, Mr. Byron's uncle, Lord Tulkinghorn, Mora's husband, Master Volk, Lady Volk's deceased father, and Lady Deadlock, Miss Clark's mother.
Eliza kind of leans forward a bit and she's going to place her hands on the skull before her and close her eyes as she begins to focus on the names that Lady Mars has provided her with.
You reach out. As you start reaching out and call out these names, you feel from each of the people around the table an indelible link being created. The link runs through each of them and then through the table and then through you and out into wherever you're reaching out to. You feel these tendrils almost of yours reach out past dark lands, past misty lands, past fog. You cross a river. As you cross the river, you see people standing still, moving about, but these links that you have brought with you into this other side clearly show you where these people are. And as you follow these links, you arrive before each of them. In the room, you see Lady Mars has her hand on Eliza's neck. Eliza's eyes have rolled back in her head. She's speaking in a strange language you don't understand. Effie, you hear something in the back of your mind. Vic had a tick after his head got done in. Not enough gin in London to fix old Vic. You see up ahead a woman you've never seen before. You see her through Eliza. Eliza is standing between you and her. You're in fog. Eliza is standing between you and her. You can feel that Eliza is the connection between you and this woman. This woman approaches, and as you see her, you see her face and you recognize certain elements of it, but you've never seen her before. But you feel with dead certainty that this is your mother. She does not appear to recognize you. Eliza, you feel this connection. You see Effie there, and you see her look at this woman that you've contacted. You can sense that there's a connection there, but one doesn't recognize the other, and the other one seems unsure. But you can feel it, but you're busy. There's other people. You draw these other people. You feel their connection to the people around the table. In the room, Jack, Lestrade. You can sense that people are starting to get nervous. The lights have dimmed of their own accord. The people at the table all have their hands kind of almost like as if they're glued on the table. There's a strange glow that has started to emanate on the table. You can feel something in the air. Their eyes are all rolled back. Eliza's talking in this strange tongue. Everybody else is just, including Effie, is just looking up in the air, eyes rolled back, mouth open, no sound coming from their mouth. And the dishes on the table, the cups, the carafe, the bowl of apples, the apples themselves, all start to shake, rattling around. Jack, you hear in the back of your head, where is she? Why is she not here? Why is the one that I want not here? Why is she bringing the others but not the one I want?
I don't know.
I want Agatha Aylesworth. I don't want these other fools. If you want me gone, she needs to bring Agatha Aylesworth here so that I can do what I need to do to her.
I will see what I can do. I thought you...
I want Agatha Aylesworth.
At this moment, where is Lady Mars?
She is standing right behind Eliza, with her hand still on her neck. When you look at her, both Lestrade and Mornion, you see a couple of strange things. First, the lights from the fire and whatever else is kind of dimmed. But where Lady Mars stands, her shadow projected on the wall shows her as having this huge spread of wings. And as you look at the shadow, not at her, but at the shadow, you start to feel afraid somehow, like there's something wrong there, like your mind can't comprehend what it's seeing. You're starting to feel fear, but you're also starting to feel alienated from everything here. It's almost as if your mind is starting to slip and you're just looking at the shadow. A lot of the other people are kind of reacting strangely too. The Lovecrests, the Lady Lovecrest has fainted. She's on the ground. Her husband is leaning forward looking at all of this. The servants have disappeared. Delaney is looking very intently at the whole thing. Myriad, Lestrade, as you're looking at all of this, you see, hanging over Jack's shoulder, you see Mora. You see her as she was the last time you saw her, with her neck broken. From the hanging, she is mouthing words, and Jack seems to be responding to her.
I back myself against the wall and shuffle over closer to Delaney with Mister, keeping my eyes on Jack.
Jack, what are you doing?
Seeing the giant wings, this is going to somewhat pop Jack out of what he was thinking. And he's going to kind of back away from everyone for a moment and kind of whisper to the voice, "You said you wanted Lestrade dead. You said nothing. Having someone else brought here."
Aylesworth is worth more than Lestrade to me.
How do you recommend I get her here?
She's your fiancée. You tell her, I want Aylesworth. She'll understand.
Jack will slowly make his way over to Rowan, almost trepidatiously. He's freaked out in so many different ways right now. "My lady." He'll whisper into her ear for a moment.
She kind of comes back to herself, turns over, looks at you, and in that moment, what you see, instead of her normal face, is indescribable. so indescribable that it literally drives you mad. Give me either logic or empathy, just that, no skill. Logic or empathy, you're perfectly allowed to use advantages if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna use advantage. That's 2 extra d6, right?
Yep.
I didn't pass. No 6s.
Lestrade, you see Jack go up to Lady Rowan, whisper something to her. She turns to him. The look of fear and utter madness that you see grip Lestrade, sorry, not Lestrade, but Jack, makes you afraid. Like, you don't know what he saw, you only know that you never, ever, ever want to see what he saw. And as you watch, he starts backing out and reaches into his jacket and draws out this huge fucking knife. Do you want to do anything?
Who's he looking at?
He's looking at Lady Rowan Mars.
I'm going to watch.
Eliza, there's a light shining ahead of you. A singular gold light. For a moment, you're back in the room. The center of the table has opened, and right in the middle of it is a gold coin. A gold coin that calls to you, that you remember. You find yourself on the shores of a river, a dark, deep river that moves slowly. There's an old man sitting in the boat. He turns to look at you and goes, have you find your coin then? Are you ready to be taken to where it is you're supposed to be?
What is that?
Yonder, where all the dead people go. That's where you're meant to be. If you find your coin, that is.
I've seen it.
Why don't you take it then?
And if I don't?
If you ain't got no coin, Missy, you can't come across. Creep, as you take this in, you feel behind you that not only have you reached out to the souls of the people that were in the land of the dead, but you now realize that the souls that were in the bodies of the people in the room have also been drawn to you. And you are being followed by them. You see Effie and you see the other 3. And they are simply standing there, looking forlorn and down, as if you were leading them by a leash. You realize that all these souls are converging on you. You realize that the 4 bodies that are at the table are meant to be receptacles. You understand that you're meant to swap them. You're meant to take the 4 souls that were in the bodies and move them into the land of the dead and replace them with the others. You realize you don't know how to do that. You don't understand how you're doing that. And that's when you feel the hand of Lady Mars all the way inside of you, moving you like a puppet, drawing on you, pulling on you, pushing, making you move as she wants, making you take these 4 souls that are in the bodies around the table, ripping them out of their bodies. And now she's pulling on the other 4 souls and trying to bring them in to invest these bodies that are there. In that moment, you realize you could put any soul you want in any one of those bodies.
I'm not going over there.
Where are you gonna go then?
She looks to the 4 souls before her. One of them she sees as a woman of wealth.
There are 2 women. There's Effie, whose soul is there and her body is empty. There's the man. There is Lady Volk, who's younger and the daughter of the deceased lawyer. And then there is Lady Tulkinghorn, who is the widow of Lord Tulkinghorn. She's an older woman. Both are quite rich. Both are definitely highborn.
She looks to the soul of Lady Volk, the younger rich woman with the dead lawyer for a father.
She looks up
for
at
a
you.
brief moment, she imagines what it'd be like to wear her skin for once.
You see horror spread on her face as she realizes what you're thinking. She says, "You can't do that. That's my life. You can't do this to me. That's evil."
You're quite wrong, Lady Volk. I can do just as I please. And I know now what I am. I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's work.
You take that soul, you push it away, you feel right away Lady Rowan Mars start fighting you. She does not want to let this happen. Give me a creep. A magic roll. And you can roll your empathy with that.
Okay.
So roll it and then hold that roll for a second and we'll come back to you. Effie. There's something going on. Eliza's talking to one of the souls. They seem to be having some kind of discussion. You're feeling yourself being pulled out of your body. You're floating. And this woman is in front of you. And she's passing you, and you realize you're about to pass through each other.
I think Effie's gonna try and fight it. She doesn't want to go anywhere else. She doesn't want to pass by. All she wants in this moment is to go home, or go home to Dove and get out of here.
So what do you do?
She doesn't know what to do.
Do you want to talk to this woman? Do you want to try to just fight, go back to your body, scream, yell? What do you think Effie would do?
I think she would stop and talk to this woman. I think she would say, I know you, don't I?
And the woman was kind of looking at the ground. Then as soon as you talk to her, she looks up and you see she has exactly the same eyes as you. Are you her?
What do you mean by her?
The one I had to give up.
The one you left behind, you mean?
I didn't have a choice. My father did not believe that a woman of my station should be carrying the child of a cab driver, even though I loved Victor very much and he loved me.
Well, I didn't love him. And you shouldn't have either. He was a rotten man. He was horrible.
Was he always that way?
For as long as I could remember until it was taken away.
My father sent men to beat him. I heard he was not the same after.
No, he wasn't, and he was a rotten man to me. Horrible. I celebrated, rued the day that he died. I go to the pub every year. I have a drink to myself. The squalor that I lived in while you sat in what opulence. I was a wretch because of you. Because you left me with him.
I'm sorry. What is your name?
Effie. Sorry. Sorry all you have.
No.
My childhood was a nightmare.
I have something else for you.
What?
I have a secret. And she bends down and she whispers something in your ear. Lestrade, Jack, you are going crazy. The woman in your head is screaming. Lestrade, you see Mora behind Jack screaming at him. You see Jack backpedaling from Lady Mars. He's got his knife out. Sorry. He's got his knife out. She turns around and she looks over to where you are, Mara does, and she goes, "Don't just stand there! She's going to get away again!" Just like over where your shoulder is. And you feel something grab you from behind. And you feel something cold and hard come across your neck. My friends, everyone, it's time for initiative.
Boy.
Initiative in this game is done with cards. I'll draw a card for each of you. Lowest goes first. Eliza, you are now in Lady Vogue's body. For the purposes of the rest of this game, use your stats anyways. But you awake, sitting across the table from Eliza's body. You see Eliza's body, head bent low, not moving. Effie, your eyes open, you're sitting at the table. Two of the people around the table have their hands glued to it, eyes rolled back in their head. You see Eliza has drooped down, Rowan Mars standing behind her. Jack is backpedaling with a knife. the woman next to you is not, the woman across the table from you is not reacting like the other two are. She seems to be alert. Eliza will go at 10, Effie at 5, Jack at 8, 7 for Lestrade. Some of these for these NPCs. All right. At 3. At 3, Lady Rowan Mars looks up. You see her hand just ram down into Eliza's body. Slam the body down on the table. The body almost explodes. It was so old and barely holding together that it just falls apart as soon as she slams it down into the body. You see worms, you see insects, you see maggots just sprawl out all across the table. And she points at Effie and she says, "Her, get her." At 5, it's you, Effie.
Okay. Effie's gonna shout as loud as she can. For somebody outside maybe to hear, for Mr. to attack. And
Okay.
an attack.
You realize that you're in a room that has no windows at the center of the thing.
Yeah, she's still gonna shout.
Yeah, it's fine.
She's still scared.
So you tell Mr. to attack. Who is Mr. attacking? Hey, Guild Superior, coming in hot with the raid. Thank you very much, gang. Hope the Heroes of Greyhawk game was a great one for you tonight. You've come in just in time as, you know, madness is about to unfold. Thanks so much for dropping in. So who do you tell Mr. to attack?
Is it Jack that she's commanding? Or the room in general?
Just the room in general.
Jack's her biggest target. To attack Jack.
All right, Jack comes running in. Mr. comes running in and jumps at you, Jack. He's going to make an attack on you. Because of your state, I'm going to say you can't defend yourself, but it's going to break you out of that state. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. jumps up and like grabs, his mouth just rams into your chest. And he just starts like pulling at you. You kind of come right back into your senses as the pain just digs right through you. This dog is on top of you, chewing at you. You take one condition. Mark off whichever one you want, except broken. One
As
physical
a-
condition.
Just a point of reference. I took 2 conditions last time. Did those get healed at the doctor?
So they would have gotten healed. So
Okay.
you would have gotten healed completely. Anyone else who's got conditions, you would have gotten healed completely.
Okay.
Yeah, so he bites you, and the pain sort of brings you back to your mind, so you're good to go on your action. At 6, you are getting sliced and diced, Lestrade. Now you have the opportunity, if you want, to give up your action that's coming up later to attempt to dodge or parry this, or you can just take it and then get your action. What would you like to do?
I'm going to say that it's going to take Lestrade by surprise, so I'm going to let it happen.
Okay. I rolled no 6s, so you're pretty lucky. Whoever's grabbed you from behind, you can see naked arms covered in blood. The smell, you recognize the smell of that breath. You know it's Malcolm. And the blade tries to cut, and you kind of just move enough that you push the hand away, and the grazing is very superficial. And you kind of stumble forward away from him at that point. Oops. I shuffled my cards around. Who was at 8? Liza. No. Jack?
I think Jack was at 8.
It goes.
And no, 7 is...
7.
Yeah.
It's me.
7 is you. 8 was Jack. And 10 was Eliza. Okay. At 7, go ahead, Lestrade.
As I stumble back from whoever is attacking me from behind, I'm going to look already knowing it's Malcolm.
It is.
And I'm going to turn to Delaney. Calling in that favor now. And I'm going to move backwards towards Effie. Because I told Effie that I would protect her.
You start moving towards Effie. You see Delaney. And from under his jacket, he pulls out this weird curved knife that he's holding kind of upside down. And he moves in to intercept behind you. At 8, Jack, you are no longer frightened of Lady Rowan Mars. You have your faculties back. Your knife's in your hand. You don't know what the fuck's happening. This dog's trying to eat you. What would you like to do?
If Mister's trying to attack Jack, Jack has to attack Mister.
All right.
Go you monster.
For it. Yeah, you monster. Go for it. Give him the old stabby stab.
And that is close combat and physique?
Yep. You remember, you all have a bunch of advantages. I think you have 3 or 4 advantages each.
I'm going to use one of those as well.
Oh, so using an advantage on the dog.
On the dog? You absolute monster.
You put him in this position.
He was protecting his mom.
I hadn't attacked you.
You probably were gonna.
If it makes you feel any better, 1 success.
1 success. So you manage to stab the dog. He yelps and then kind of rolls away from you and kind of scurries away as you manage to give him a little of the stabbity stab. At 9, Mora, who's behind you, attacks you, Jack. But she's not attacking to kill you. She's like trying to kind of get you out of the way to get at Rowan. So she's just going to try to kind of push you out of the way. She gets no 6s, so she kind of gets tangled up in you as she's trying to push you and get to Rowan. And at 10, Eliza, you are sitting in Lady Volk's body. You're seeing all this happen. Across the table from you is Effie. Lady Rowan Mars is just over there with all that stuff. What would you like to do?
Do I see Percival?
Yeah, you see him. He is like he's moving towards where Eliza was. He obviously has not realized that Eliza is no longer Eliza.
I'm gonna stand and move towards Percival. And the room's not locked down or anything, is it? Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna run over to Percival.
You get up, you run towards him, you can talk to him or you can do something if you want. He's like kind of totally not paying attention at you. He's just seen his dead girlfriend be ripped apart and, explode into a bunch of maggots. So he's a little,
Yeah, she's gonna kind of grab him by the wrists and get very close to him. And in her accent, but Miss Volk's voice, he'll hear her say, "It's me, Percival. It's me."
He looks at you, and it takes him a moment to kind of realize what's going on. We'll see what he does on his next action. 5 back to Effie. Oh, sorry. 5 was 3 was Lady Mars. Lady Mars moves just totally beelines towards Effie and reaches out to grab you. You can give up your upcoming action if you want to attempt to dodge or you would dodge. You wouldn't parry this if you want, or you can just sort of take it and...
I'll take it because I want my action.
All right. She's got 2 successes. She reaches out and grabs you and pulls you up to her. She goes, "Tell me what she told you." And she pulls you right up to her face, and then you see something in her face that just scrambles your mind. It's the most horrifying, incomprehensible thing you've ever seen in your life. Give me a empathy or logic roll.
Well, they're both the same, so it doesn't matter. That's 2 successes.
You manage to hold on to whatever sanity was fleeing out, and you get your you know, you get your faculties together as she's grabbing you and she's like just holding you, and her strength is incredible. Like her strength is like almost breaking your bones as she's holding you. And you kind of see her, but you see something else that's unexplainable. This mass of wings and feathers and eyes that's just kind of standing in front of you, and it's just completely madness inducing. But go ahead at 5.
Can I take out my whip and get her?
You
With
can
my
give
whip?
it a try, for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna try. And that's ranged combat or close combat?
That would be close combat.
Close combat. Okay. Well, here we go. That is 1 success.
That's good enough. What are you trying to do?
Can I be a little bit of flavor? I want Effie to be able to wrap the whip around her neck and yank it back
Okay.
to try and steer her off of her.
Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. So you kind of whip the thing around and kind of jerk so that her head kind of jerks back. You find she's incredibly strong, so you find it difficult, but it is kind of wrapped around her and you're pulling on it. No problem. After that, it is 5. That was Effie. 6. It is Malcolm. Malcolm moves towards you again. Would you like to try and dodge, or will you take it again, Myriad? Actually, belay that, because
I moved away.
Yeah, Malcolm, you see Malcolm coming towards you, but Delaney just comes in, and he goes in. Delaney's a fucking beast. He goes in low, and he grabs him by the legs, and he lifts him up, and then he just kind of slams him down on the ground, and he gets on top of him, and he's got that little curved knife, and he's just on top physically of this thing, and he's just slicing, he's just cutting everything off, and the other guy's trying to get the knife in, and Delaney's just batting it away, and he's just like this Rottweiler that's going feral on this guy, just like slicing and slicing away. At 7, go ahead.
I'm going to flex my wrist, and the pistol is going to come out, and I'm going to shoot it, Rowan.
Go for it.
Please don't miss.
I'm going to use advantage as well.
Okay.
So is that precision and range combat?
Yeah.
Okay. That is 2 successes.
Your shot rings out, and in this room, like there was chaos, but your shot just cuts through all of that. It hits Lady Rowan in the side of the head. You see blood, skin, all sorts of stuff just sort of roll off and just go splatter. Some of it splatters over Jack. She's got this gaping hole in the side of her head. And she turns around and looks at you. And you can see pure hatred in her eyes. Give me a logic or empathy roll.
Just straight logic?
Yeah.
1 success.
Good enough. You manage to sort of hold off as you see something you never thought you'd see before that just reaches into your mind and then tries to just rip out every shred of sanity that you have left. But you've shot her successfully. At 8, Jack.
Okay. Jack is going to, seeing that Lady Rowan has attacked Effie and Lestrade has attacked Lady Rowan, he's going to hope that he can get this voice out of his head by killing Lestrade, so he is going to try to run over and stab Lestrade.
Go for it.
It is... No successes.
All right, Lestrade, you see Jack come for you and just lunge at you with the knife, and then at the last second he gets tangled in something, and the blade just goes wide. At 10, Eliza.
What was Percival's reaction?
He looks at you, and his eyes light up like this amber color, and he says, "I see you." And so you know you've got his attention.
We have to leave, Percival. We have to get out of here.
Very well. hold on to me.
She's gonna take hold of him very tightly.
And as you do, you grab a hold of him, and you don't see this because you're kind of pressed up against him. The rest of you will see these fiery wings just spread out from behind this guy's back, just shoot out everywhere, start licking at the wall. The books catch on fire right away. His wings, his fire wings keep spreading. The carpet's on fire, the wood's on fire, the table's on fire, the fucking ceiling, everything's just catching. People's clothes get on fire. They're trying to run, getting out of the room. They're opening the doors, trying to get out. The fire spreads through this place as if there was oil and fucking gasoline that had been soaked into it for days beforehand. The fire is just everywhere, and the heat is absolutely crushing to all of you. So this is what I want to do. I want to get out of initiative here, and I want to ask each of you in turn. The fire is fucking everywhere. You are going to cook. Tell me what you want to do. And I will do it. I'll do another little round of initiative between the three of you, just to see who tells me first what they want to do so that other people can react, all right? Lestrade will be at 8. Wow, did I shuffle these fucking cards?
I don't know, did you?
I tried.
I want to say I'm having flashbacks right now, and I'm not appreciative of this.
Flashbacks of?
Vampire.
Mm-hmm. I managed to draw 6, 7, 5. So Lestrade's at 6, Slattery's at 7, and Effie's at 5 again. Fire is spreading all over the place. Tell me what you do, starting with Effie. Effie, Mister's there. He's kind of trying to get out. He's wounded. Jack seems to be trying to get Myriad. Lady Rowan has been shot and kind of pulled away, so she's kind of not paying attention to you right now. What would you like to do?
I'm picking up Mister and I'm running out of the room. Sorry, Lestrade, my dog's in danger. I gotta go. Bye.
You grab him and you turn tail and you start running. Then it was 6, I think, was Lestrade. So Lestrade, you see that. Flames everywhere. You see her grab her dog, start ditching out. Jack's in your face still with the knife.
Mm-hmm. I am moving past Jack. And I'm going to pat Delaney on the back to let him know it is time to leave if he is still there.
Okay.
And running out of the room.
And running out of the room. So, Jack, what do you want to do? You get a free shot at Lestrade if you want, as Lestrade is running out.
I'll take the free shot.
Take the free shot, boss.
You'll have 2 advantages, and I'm probably going to die in this room. All right, we'll use them.
Go for it.
1 success.
1 success. Lestrade, you take 2 damage as you run past Slattery, and his knife just plunges right into your side. So you take 2 physical conditions. Did you have 1 already?
Nope.
Okay. So you take
Not
2...
Not the first time I've been stabbed.
Not the last either. So he stabs you as you run past. You go to run out. Effie, as you run into the other room, you see windows are being broken, and you see some of Dove's men that are there, and they're yelling out for you, "Come on this way, Effie!" And they got like rags over there. The fire is spreading throughout the house. They got like rags over their mouths. You're running for them. As you do, you feel something wrap around your ankle. You realize it's your whip. It wraps around your ankle, and you hit face down into the ground. And when you look over your shoulder, you see Lady Rowan Mars there. These huge, shadowy wings behind her. Her face half completely ripped off by the shot. Holding the whip and pulling it and dragging you back and saying, "I'm not done with you yet." And sort of dragging you back behind. Eliza, in this inferno, you are perfectly fine. Percy is holding you. And he's kind of walking with you through this thing, and he's like, "Just stay close to me, Miss Eliza. I'll protect you. And the flames are just projecting out of his body and just sort of burning everything. As you step through into the other room, you can see through a set of double doors that are open. You can see Lady Rowan Mars as the whip and is pulling on Effie, trying to drag her towards her. You can see Lestrade's trying to come out behind. Everyone else just kind of running left, right, and center, trying to get out. What do you want to do? Do you want to just leave, or do you want to do something else? Totally up to you.
She's going to look up to Percy, and she's simply going to say,
You have to call me Mrs. Volk now.
Very well, Mrs. Volk. That's it?
Yep.
All right, he just carries you through. You walk out. Lestrade, you come up. You see Lady Mars is pulling Effie back with the whip. Jack, you're coming up behind him, I'm assuming. What do you want to do, Lestrade?
I do have a knife. I have my sword cane.
Mm-hmm.
Can I cut the whip?
Yeah, give me a roll. Physique plus, I would say agility probably in this case, and you can feel free to use advantages if you want.
So I have fencer, so I can use my precision instead of physique.
Go right ahead.
Please use your advantage. Help your old pal Effie.
Who abandoned you 30 seconds ago.
It was a dog, okay? I think that Myriad understands the dog's important, okay?
3.
66.
All right, so in my game, 3 6s is the devil's luck, so you get to do something incredible with your move. So what would you like to do? You don't only cut the thing, but you can do something exceptional with it. The devil's on your side. What do you do?
I'm going to cut the whip, and then Lady Rowan Mars is on the floor, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to stab
she's
it.
She's not on the floor. She's standing up. She's pulling.
Oh. I'm going to cut the whip. Can I do something with my pistol in the same?
Sure, go for it.
I'm going to cut the whip, and I'm going to spin around and blast her in the face with another shot, since the first one didn't seem to stick.
Go for it. Precision and range combat. I'll give you the extra action for the 666.
Cool. Ranged 2. And then I'm using an advantage. Oh, shit. Lost a die. That is 2 successes.
All right, absolutely. So you stab her. She turns towards you, and you see in her one good eye that she's got left. No, you didn't stab her. You shot her, right? Mm-hmm. So you shoot her again, and she kind of spins away from you and stumbles away. Like you've done 2 huge shots to her, and she's still not down. She like kind of stumbles away, and she looks over behind you. Jack, you're coming up behind. What do? You see Lady Rowan Mars there, having just been shot, kind of stumbling away, and you see Lestrade helping up Effie. You don't hear a voice in your head.
Jack's gonna kind of run towards Lestrade, and the words are gonna echo in his mind that he was told earlier, nobody's gonna remember you. You want to be a lackey forever. And look at whatever his fiancée has become. And then look back to Lestrade and Effie. And Jack's going to stab at Lady Rowan Mars. If they don't remember him for what he did before, maybe they'll remember him for this.
Go right ahead. Physique and close combat. If you have advantages left, you can use them.
I have 1 left, and I'm going to use it. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. 1 success.
That's all you need. You turn around, you stab her right in the chest. The knife goes in. She looks up at you. She reaches out She puts her hand behind your head, and she says, "You're coming with me, lover." And then she pulls you, and her strength is immense, and she plants a big wet one right on your lips, and half her face is missing. Like she's been shot, half her face is missing. Kisses you. Effie, Lestrade, you manage to stumble out. You're carrying Mr. Dove's men are helping you. They pull you out of there. You stumble out of that place. Fire's raging everywhere. You stumble out. They're pulling you. They get you out into the street.
Lestrade is holding her side, and she's going to reach into her coat pocket and take out blood-stained whistle and start blowing into it.
And from everywhere around you, you start hearing whistles calling back, answering the call. And you know there are a dozen police officers on their way coming here. You see Delaney stumble out of the burning house, his coat on fire. He just rips it off, tosses it on the ground. You see his body is marked with all these strange black tattoos. These strange, like, arrows and whatnot, just all over. He throws down his burning jacket. He looks up at you. And he runs off into the night.
I'm gonna just a single hand, like, trying really hard not to just, like, bleed out right now.
The next morning, Dove would have brought Effie back to the Brixton Arms for sure, and he would have offered the same to Lestrade. Would you have gone? He says he's got a doctor that can see you as soon as you get there.
I think Lestrade would look at Effie and back at the burning building and would have taken Dove up on that offer.
You wake up in a room, the two of you. They brought in an extra little bed at the foot. Lestrade's in it. Effie, you're in your bed with Mr. Mister's bandaged up and snoring. And the two of you wake up about the same time. There's coffee and toast that have been brought up. What do you do?
Is it just us that survived?
No, Delaney made it out. And Miss Volk, I believe, was... What did she want from you?
She wanted to know a secret.
She should know she has to pay for that.
My prices have recently increased as well. I'm not sure she could have afforded it.
Well, I hope you give discounts to your most valued customers.
For you, of course.
As you think about what's happened, you remember as your mother leaned into your ear and said to you, Effie, "And lo, a time of strife shall visit the land. Beneath acrid skies of smoke-filled heavens, the blood of 7 of God's chosens to be spilled, and thus the broad wings of sin, death, and hell from the dark angel shall to this world be gifted."
I think Effie would keep that to herself. I think she would want to bury that one down.
Dove comes in. "Are you all awake then?" Good, I got some work for you. How are you feeling, Inspector?
Like I got stabbed in the side last night.
Well, very fitting, since you happen to have gotten stabbed in the side last night.
So it is.
And what about you, Effie?
I'm fine. Well, I'm fine.
Are you sure?
Yes. I'm sure. I'm considering perhaps taking a break in the information brokering business.
Well, that's too bad, because I got a really juicy piece of secret right now, piece of information. But I guess if you don't want it.
Tell me.
The house that you were in last night?
Yes.
Well, right now it sits completely unburned. Perfect as it was yesterday morning.
There's no way.
Therein lies a mystery. But you're not interested in those things anymore, are you, love?
She sort of gives him like a little bit of a challenging look.
And as you're watching this, Lestrade, the bed moves a little bit. Someone just sat down on it, just outside your edge of vision. This person says, "Therein does lie a mystery."
Lestrade is staring forward. And she's going to take a deep breath and look over.
Somewhere across town, sitting outside, beautiful part of town, little garden, little iron rod table, 2 chairs, 2 people. There is a very well-dressed butler bringing tea, some toast, some beautiful jam. Puts it down on the table. Looks at you, Lady Volk, and says, "My lady, would you be requiring anything else?"
She's just gonna wave him away.
Very well. Percy looks at you and goes, "I'd say this new lifestyle suits you."
I'd say so.
What do you wish to do now?
Well, I think it's about time I took some etiquette lessons. Maybe learned how to talk more like a genteel. Wouldn't you say, Percy?
I believe I know just the right person for this.
Very good.
He lifts up his tea to you. Ding. Jack. How you doing, Jack?
I don't know.
Take a look at Albert, Jack. You wake up on the floor of what looks like an immense dark cathedral. There are flames everywhere. There is blood raining, fine droplets. From somewhere up above, you can't even see the ceiling. It's just darkness. There is this strange writhing sculpture behind an iron throne. You hear footsteps. You hear Lady Rowan Mars' voice. Well, Jack, that was very uncouth of you.
At this point, I think Jack's just done. I don't know what I was supposed to do in that moment, but I don't regret it. And he will just kind of stare at her with an angry scowl on his face and turn to walk directly towards her. What are you?
What am I? Isn't it obvious? And as she says this, her body starts to glow and shine with this golden light. These big, beautiful white wings expand behind her. This halo of golden light rises just above her. And she says, "My darling, I'm an archangel." And on that, my friends, thus ends The Devil's Orchard.